As an independent music podcast, 101 Part-Time Jobs highly recommends DistroKid as the best solution to putting out your own music online. You can join 1 million other artists from all across the world putting out their own music on Apple, Spotify, YouTube, and everywhere else across the DSPs where people are listening to your music. My dream as a kid was to run a small little label, and now with DistroKid, getting music out online is the easiest it ever has been, making 100% of your own royalties while paying a small annual fee. And that fee's even smaller as a 101 Part-Time Jobs listener. Head to distrokid.com/VIP/101pod to get 30% off your first year putting out your own music on DistroKid. Getting your own music out into the world has never been easier. Head to distrokid.com/VIP/101pod to get the best deal you can. Hey, welcome to 101 Part-Time Jobs. This is the show where we hear about the lesser-known stories of the bands and artists that we're loving. On today's episode, I speak with Jake from Supermilk. They're about to release their new record, High Precision Ghosts, on Specialist Subject. It's coming out on August the 9th. It's got a kind of jolting, can't sit down, melancholic type of punk rock energy. Every bit's a hook. Supermilk's record, High Precision Ghosts, is out on August the 9th. And this conversation is mostly about Jake's ALS, which is a neurone disease. The late Rob Burrows had it. There's more technology allowing people to live longer and communicate with their eyes. As I understand it, you lose control and ability to use your legs, your arms. It takes a slow hold. Jake's fairly early on in his ALS, and he wants to talk about it. He wants to spread the message of his experience. There's not really much talk about MND in arts or music communities. This is a step forward to improve on that and spread this awareness. There's lots of people who experience ALS and MND, and sharing experiences can never be a bad thing. So this is Jake, an ALS sufferer, but more importantly, a great bloody songwriter with Supermilk. Their new record, High Precision Ghosts, out August the 9th. You can catch them on tour in September, Brighton, Portsmouth and London. You can get tickets for that now. Here's Jake on 101 Part-Time Jobs. 101 Part-Time Jobs.
Because it's kind of been ongoing for like a really long time, but I only got diagnosed in January. So I've been kind of like experiencing like progressive like loss of kind of mobility and like, you know, certain, you know, just finding it harder to walk and stuff like that, and just like having no idea. Like it was just, I think these things, like in the grand scheme of things, I think I got diagnosed really quickly. And I've like a lot of people I've talked to, sometimes it's like 3-4 years before they get to the bottom of this particular thing. But it was like, it got to a point where I was like, I'm just going to get the stick for safety, because I was like falling over a lot out and about. And, you know, if I'm kind of like at the pub or something and just trying to get home, the last thing I want to be doing is like falling over. So I just got it for that purpose. And then like a couple of months later, I got like a formal diagnosis.
Do you remember the first sign, the first kind of sort of twinge or?
Yeah, well, it was weird. Like it was kind of like right at the beginning of 2021, and me and Rich Mandel from Me Rex and, you know, Happy Accidents and stuff, we were making the second Supermilk album. So it was over that kind of period of time, like right at the end of 2020 going into, you know, like across like New Year's Day going into 2021. And I'd come home from the studio and I was on my own in the place that I was living in at the time, and I slipped on the stairs whilst I was like carrying some stuff down from my room, and I kind of like went down the stairs really badly and kind of landed with all of my body weight behind my ankle. So it like rolled my ankle really badly. And then, it really fucking hurt. And like, I didn't really think anything of it. And it kind of healed up. And I went back to like running and drumming and everything. But then it was kind of later that year, I started noticing what's called like foot drop, where it's like the front of your foot kind of like becomes weak and you can't like lift it up. So there's like no like dorsiflexion in it. It's kind of like dragging along the floor when you're walking. When I was out running, I noticed it a couple of times. I was like, oh, that's really weird. And then when I was in bed one night, I noticed I started looking at my foot. My toe was doing this like twitching thing, but like all of the, and then like there was more stuff that started happening. Like I started just like falling over a lot, losing my balance, and I either put it down, like I fell down the stairs a couple of times, and I kind of put it down to like either me having had like a drink or something that day, or just like my foot being weak because it was like a knock-on effect of falling downstairs the first time.
Yeah,
but then I think looking back on it. It kind of like the two things, it was just like complete coincidence. They happened at the same time. And like all of the stuff that was happening was because of like the MND. But yeah, it was like when it started not getting better and started getting worse, when I got diagnosed in January, it didn't come as a massive shock because I kind of like something in my brain was just telling me like, this is quite serious. And I went to one doctor and they're a bit, they kind of like fobbed me off a little bit. I was like, oh, okay. So but then after it was like carried on happening, I kind of went down, I got a new GP and I went down and I said like, I'm trying not to be dramatic about this, but I really think something is seriously wrong. And like, and they were really sweet and took it very seriously. And like, I was really relieved. And then the process kind of picked up a little bit and I kind of got, not fast tracked, but like, I think the way that the appointments fell, it ended up just like not taking that long to eventually see a neurologist and stuff. When the doctors started talking about kind of like, oh, we're going to send you to a neurologist to see what's going on because we can't really see what's up. So we need someone to kind of like look at your motor functions and your kind of like, the relationship of your like nerves and your brain and your spine and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And just like when they said that, I was like, I've got a feeling it's going to be like MS or MND or something. I just like, but then, you have everyone around you with like the best intentions being very like sweet and saying like, oh, I'm sure it's nothing, like don't worry about it, I'm sure like I'm kind of prone to just being incredibly over analytical and worrying about fucking everything, and I think my kind of friends and family all know that. So when I start doing a worrying kind of spiral, everyone's immediate reaction is to be like, nah, chill out, it's fine, don't worry about it. But then I just kind of knew in the back of my mind, I was like, I bet it's this, and it was. So like when I got diagnosed, it was like a relief more than anything. I was like, oh, well, that's shit. Like, at least like, what's possible to, like treatment wise or not in this case, but like, you also know like what your limitations are. So you can start not being so hard on yourself if you have a day where you're completely wiped out and, you can't move around as much and stuff. Whereas before, I think I was like punishing myself, being like, get the fuck up. What are you doing? Like, you just need to stretch it out. You just need to do this.
And what about your day to day? I mean, I know this is a podcast about jobs and playing in bands, but I mean, jobs, I think the older I get, the more I realize how jobs really affect us on levels that we don't even see or appreciate. And when something like this happens to you, I imagine one of the first things is like, oh, how do I work? How do I make money? How do I pay rent in an expensive London?
Like, I'm a web developer first, like by trade, and have been for sort of like pushing 20 years now. So like, it's a job that you can do completely remotely if you, I mean, it's like nicer to be around people, but there's the option, it's completely possible to do it just from a laptop and stuff. So like, even if I suddenly can't walk, or, I'm having a day where I'm like really fatigued and, I just like need to stay in and sort of rest up, that I can still work, because like at the moment, my arms, like the tops of my arms are pretty affected. Like, they're getting weaker. So it's like hard to play bass and to drum and like all that kind of stuff. But in terms of like working from a laptop, that's still pretty good. I don't know what it must be like for people who their job is like really physical, or where it's kind of like, like very, manual stuff, or it just like involves their entire body. If they suddenly get diagnosed with something like this, and that's that could be their career, or their sort of livelihood completely out the window. But
so it's motor neurone disease, MND.
Yeah.
You're a young, fit, healthy human being.
Oh, Giles, stop it! You're making me blush.
But you are. You're a musician. You're an active person. You've travelled. You're social. It seems to me like you wouldn't be necessarily like prone. You wouldn't be an obviously prone person to something like this.
Yeah, for sure. It's like I think it's still super well, because it's like it's the disease that like for anybody who's sort of like not familiar with it, I think the best reference point is Stephen Hawking. Is the what he had, and he's like, he lived like an insanely long time for someone with motor neuron disease, because it's like it's kind of unheard of to live that long when you've got it. He got diagnosed, I think, when he was like in his early to mid 20s, and it's like the younger you are, like the more rare it is. I think it's still largely like a disease that typically affects people in their sort of like sort of 50s, 60s, 70s. So like the older you are, it's probably more common in that age group.
Have you been ill before when you were a kid? Have you ever had sort of underlying
No, that's the thing.
conditions?
Like, I've always been like super lucky with health. Like I've never really been in hospital. I've never like broken anything. I've never been like seriously ill. I've always been like very lucky and good immune system and all that. So yeah.
Is it what Rob Burrow had? Does Rob Burrow have
Is he
motor neuron disease?
is the rugby player? Right? Yeah, it's what he's got. But like there's different types, so you can kind of like I think Rob Burrow has what's it called? Bulbar onset, which is where it starts affecting your voice and your breathing and all that kind of stuff first, and then kind of spreads to your limbs. Whereas like limb onset, which is sort of characterized by like a much longer survival rate, is where it kind of like starts materializing in your like legs and arms and stuff like that, and then it might kind of spread somewhere else later. But at the moment, like I'm kind of I'm still like walking, I'm still up and walking around, just like albeit a lot slower and a lot more cautiously, and like with the stick, and still playing shows, even though that's quite it's getting a bit more tricky, and there's certain like adaptations I've had to make to like my stage setup, and I made like I turned, like those tiny, like short sort of mic stands that are used for like miking up kick drums and snares.
Yeah.
I turned one of those into like a little pedal stand, and the mic clip. I used the mic clip to like clip my cane in on stage. So it's like, and then I bought like a little tray from somewhere, and it's like it attaches to the mic stand, so I can like have a beer and like spare picks and earplugs and stuff. And then like I'm not really a pedal guy at all. Like I have one bass tone that's like overdrive and lots of mid, and I just like that being on the entire time and really changing it. So the only thing that I need to kind of press is the tuner, whereas I can just do that with my thumbs because it's like raised up high, and it means that I don't have to like lift my feet and risk sort of like tumbling or anything. So it's just like little things like that. Because I don't know, I think the one thing that kind of freaked me out, like largely I still feel really positive about it, and like very sort of grateful for the life that I've had and continue to have and stuff. And it kind of like the one thing is like I've been playing music since I was like like 4 or 5 or something, and like writing songs from not that much after that. So it's always been just like this really sort of key part of my identity, and something that I use to kind of get through difficult times, and something that brings me a lot of joy. It's like the reason that I know like the vast majority of my kind of best friends, and it's like the idea of not being able to do that anymore is quite scary. So it's just like trying to find any way that I can to make it easier, like to do it for as long as physically kind of possible.
This is a horrible question to ask. What is that length of time?
About 3.5 minutes. So anytime now, I'll be out of it. No, it's they say, like, the thing is, like, the top level information that you can find about MND, it's like all really scary, and they say it's like a really outdated, inaccurate figure of like 2 to 5 years, but it's not really accurate, because like it's such a sort of widely misunderstood, and still there's even the experts are like still learning a lot about it. So it's like I think the younger you are when you get it, the longer you've got. And in my case, like all of the experts and consultants and all that I've been talking to have said my progression is like really slow in the grand scheme of things. So it's like
Good.
They don't think I've really got anything to worry about in terms of like it's like life expectancy isn't an immediate concern at this point. It's more just about like managing it as it kind of progresses and gets worse. So yeah, it kind of varies all over the place, but that's the kind of figure that's online, which is like super unhelpful. When you kind of get diagnosed with it, they say like, don't Google it, don't do too much Googling. We'll give you the information because we know what we're talking about, but don't. You look at the NHS website, it's like, this is a fatal disease and you'll be dead in like a fortnight. And it's like, oh great, cool, that's nice.
Where have you drawn the line of reading?
I don't know. I mean, I usually draw lines and then cross them quite quickly. So it's like I'm always Googling something about it, but I don't know. I feel like knowledge is helpful and just like knowing as much about it as possible. And I'm like a member of a couple of like WhatsApp groups and stuff that are, people are kind of age, generally speaking, that have it. I'm fortunate enough to have a really incredible support network in friends and family and extended family and stuff, and like everyone has been the best. Like,
yeah, great.
It's been like very, I don't know, it's made it like, it's one of the really nice things that, if you can say that, that's like sort of come out of it. It's just like a reminder of like how many fucking amazing people are around and that I know and that are like on hand to help and like genuinely want to help, not out of like obligation, but just like, genuine sweethearts. But
is there a music group for MND?
No, I don't know. I mean, that's what, like, I'm kind of kicking with like the new Supermilk record coming out and stuff. I've been quite keen to talk about it just because, like, as far as I know, there's not a huge amount of visibility or like a lot of, it's not something you typically associate with like people making music. I know there are like certain musicians. There's a guy whose name I've forgotten now, but he's like a shredder. He's like a Steve Vai type dude who has like played with. He was like Eddie Van Halen's guitarist and used to play on his like solo records and stuff. But he got diagnosed when he was super young, and I think he's still alive now. He's in his kind of like 50s or something. But he can't. He had a very fast progressing kind where he's like stopped being able to play guitar super quickly. But he still composes with his eyes. Like he's got like one of those computers where it kind of tracks your eye movement, so he can communicate, also like compose. So he's got like software where he's able to compose, with just like moving stuff around with like his eye movement being tracked, which is pretty sick.
101 part-time jobs. 101 part-time jobs. Is it fair to say the kind of future is unknown, but you put your best foot forward?
Yeah, I mean, as much as I can put my foot forward, it's quite difficult.
Sorry, bad.
No. Just no. I just like to joke about it as much as possible. I've been trying to joke about it on stage quite a lot, and it kind of goes down with like mixed reception because I think people are just like, I don't know how to respond to this, but I feel like humor is the sort of it's
tricky, right? Because if one of us in the crowd and someone like responded like heckled you back for it, then maybe like another person in the crowd would be like, what the fuck, you're taking the piss out of Jake for having a disease. That's not cool.
Yeah. I welcome it.
I guess you welcome it.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, like if someone shouted some kind of like ableist slurs at me and I didn't know them, I'd be a bit like, hey, steady on. But if it was someone that I knew, I think they'd be sort of in on the joke. But yeah, like the album's out in August on Special Subject, which I'm really excited about. Yeah, like I couldn't think of a better label to put it out on. Like they're old friends, and I mean you know them as well as I do. They're like very good people. But yeah, it's just kind of like it's taking it as it comes, but also like wanting to do as much as. Like I'm not very good at kind of sitting around waiting for stuff to happen. I really like to keep things moving, and I get quite impatient when things aren't moving at a pace that I'm sort of used to. Because of this sort of condition now, it kind of makes things feel a bit more urgent, and like want to use that momentum to just like have a really great time doing it and do as much as possible.
I mean, it's hard to know what to say as like a friend and someone who's like a fan of the band. It's like, yeah, fucking do it. But obviously we want you to not be in pain as well.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's kind of, I've had a lot of people sort of cautiously being like, maybe just slow down a bit. Like you're doing too much. And I think they're right, but then I'm also very stubborn. And like if I want to do something, then I'll probably be doing it sort of against the advice of most people.
I suppose thanks for being open to me about it, but I mean, well done to yourself. Like, thank you for being open in your own life about it. I imagine everyone reacts differently to these kinds of things.
Thanks for talking to me about it as well. Like, it's really, and I know like this podcast is sort of traditionally about like jobs and stuff, which it kind of ties into a little bit, I guess. We've talked about
big time. Jobs is life.
But like, yeah, I appreciate the opportunity to kind of talk about it a little bit as well, because I think like the more visibility, especially in like the arts and people making music and stuff like that, the more that they can see other people who are like struggling but still cracking on with it. I think that's what I would like to see for my own self, that kind of stuff.
So there was Jake from Supermilk on 101 Part-Time Jobs. Their new record, High Precision Ghosts, is out the 9th of August on Specialist Subject. You can go and pre-order that now. Great rock and roll band. Cheers for listening. If you enjoyed this, make sure you click subscribe. We put out 2 episodes every week, always with interesting and exciting artists. And if there's someone you think should be on, give us an email, giles@mightymoonmedia.com. Cheers for being here. Thanks to our sponsors. We get to keep on doing this, and we've got a small team now. DistroKid is the best way to put out music yourself. Head to distrokid.com/VIP/101pod to get a discount on your first year, making all your own royalties. It's a fun, easy way to sign up, upload your artwork, the song, all the information that you want to be displayed on Spotify, Apple, TikTok, YouTube, all the rest of it. 1 million artists around the world are doing this. It's an affordable yearly fee. If you've always wanted to put out some music, but you're not exactly sure how, I mean, this is how record labels do it. Record labels will have a third-party distributor. You can be your own record label. Use DistroKid as your distributor. It's affordable. I've used it myself. It's pretty easy. You can't really go wrong with it. And you can get 30% off your first year at distrokid.com/VIP/101pod.
101 Part-Time Jobs is hosted by Giles Bidder and produced by me, Olivia Swash. This has been a Mighty Moon Media production.
It is Ryan Seacrest here. Ready to heat up your summer vacation? Get ready. Things are about to get sizzling at Chumba Casino. Your summer getting a whole lot hotter with a special daily login bonus waiting just for you. So sign up now for reels of fun and reels of prizes right here at Chumba Casino with yours truly. Join me at ChumbaCasino.com and dive into a summer of social casino fun.
Sponsored by Chumba Casino. No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. 18+. Terms and conditions apply.